Hi, I'm Justin McGarry, coming to you from HPE Discover 2025 here in Las Vegas. Welcome to our announcement show. Today we've got an exciting lineup. I'll be kicking things off with HPE President and CEO Antonio Neri to talk about the bold steps we're taking in AI and how HPE is driving growth in this transformative era. Then we'll hear from two of our business leaders, Fidelma Russo and Phil Mottram, on the innovations and announcements shaping their areas. And to wrap it all up, IDC analyst Matt Eastwood will share his perspective on the pace of enterprise transformation, the impact of IT, and how HPE is helping customers stay ahead. Let's dive in. Thank you, Antonio, for joining me.
Well, thank you, Justin.
So, Antonio, I know ambition was a key theme at your keynote and here at Discover. One of the things you talked about is boldness, our commitment and action. Can you share some of the highlights from the big announcements at the keynote and discuss a little bit how these innovations are positioning HPE as a leader in the AI space?
Well, absolutely. Well, first of all, I'm really proud to be here in Vegas in this amazing show floor where we are having this interview, this chat. And boldness also started with the brand. So we show up with a new identity, which I'm really, really proud. It's a bold expression of who we are as a company after 10 years almost. So it starts with that. And as you said, be ambitious on everything you do. And that takes courage. And then look, we show up really well yesterday because we made a series of bold announcements once again. And those were not the only one because 100 days to discover, pre-discover, we also made a number of breakthrough announcements. So you have to go back 100 days to really bring the whole story together. So if you think about the networking space, right? We started with a Wi-Fi 7 portfolio. We talk about security, and I'm sure Phil will talk more later on. If you talk about hybrid cloud, we talk about storage. We talk about Gen 12 servers, which I know you love.
Yes.
And we talk about all the other software elements. And then in AI, obviously, we continue the journey to provide AI factories. But yesterday, we made some very bold announcements in networking with the AI mesh agentic approach. Basically, at the core is bringing an army of agentic AI admins that ultimately work for you all the time, 24/7, processes trillions of data at a scale a human cannot even think about it. And that is a huge benefit because they are proactive in what they do and they offer you alternatives and solutions to problems. And then eventually you can ask them to execute them. So to me, that's is an OpEx reduction for the IT administrators. Then we move to the hybrid cloud space, and there were a lot of announcements. Clearly, the one that resonated the most was GreenLake Intelligence. GreenLake Intelligence is bringing the same agentic approach in the network level to the rest of the stack. And we can do that now because we have a phenomenal platform with OpsRamp, who was trained over 20 trillion parameters.
Wow.
And now we have more than 200 agents working behind the scenes to make sure you run IT in the most cost-efficient and sustainable way. And then from there, we move into what I call the private cloud unification. Obviously, HPE Morpheus is a fantastic acquisition. So we took our VM Essentials, which is our own runtime alternative to VMware. We integrated with Morpheus. Now we provide a unified private cloud. And then we extended that to partnership with Commvault and Veeam to protect your data.
Okay.
And then also, we now have a bundle with HPE Zerto to provide you ransomware protection services as part of the virtualization stack, and also the Cyber Vault. But we didn't stop there. We kept going.
Yeah.
And so now with Morpheus, also you have the unification of your entire hybrid estate, which obviously the ability to manage your on-prem and off-prem with the same operating model. And with OpsRamp, we can actually monitor the public cloud, your multi-vendor environments, and your multi-runtimes. And that to me is a huge advantage because we actually simplify all the complexity of having infrastructure with legacy and multi-vendor and multi-cloud outside your data center. From there, we moved on, right? And we moved into the AI space. And we talked about the AI expansion, the AI factory expansion with NVIDIA. So we announced new GPU support across the entire portfolio. Now, ProLiant, as you know, right, now supports liquid cooling and also support the latest GPU acceleration. Of course, we introduced Gen 12 with Intel Xeon processors, but yesterday we also announced the support with AMD EPYC processors. But at the same time, we advanced also the HP Private Cloud AI, which is a deep partnership with NVIDIA. We also brought 28 ISVs into the GreenLake platform as a part of the Private Cloud AI offering. So it was a great day because it demonstrates that we innovate with purpose. And that purpose is to make sure customers have a modern IT architecture where networking is the core foundation to deliver on the promise of hybrid cloud, which we call it right, and use GreenLake as the bridge to take you into the AI world, which obviously now we move from generative AI to agentic AI and into the physical AI. And we showcase some of the amazing partnership with some of the customers which are on the leading edge.
So speaking of customers and innovation, can you elaborate a little bit on just kind of the feedback that we're hearing from our customers and partners this week? A lot to unpack there with the announcements. Share a little bit about the perspective you're hearing.
Well, look, at the show we have more than 14,000 customers and partners. And the feedback was very, very positive. You know, they appreciate the fact that, A, we had a consistent strategy that we have been executing for the last 7.5 years, that every time we come together, we deliver a significant amount of proof points that resonates with them, because our strategy, our innovation roadmap is informed by the customers and the inflection points we see in the market. And the fact that we have more than 300 use cases here with 500 of the best people in our company demonstrating them is a testament that we are ready today for the future. And as you know, yesterday in the keynote in that magnificent venue,
Amazing.
We did a lot of the demonstrations because it's important they can see, they can touch it, they can feel it. So the demos really resonated with them.
So let's continue the theme on customers. You spend, I know you've said, half of your time on the road meeting with customers. What themes have you been hearing from them recently? And maybe share a little bit with me about their perspective on the global market uncertainty.
Well, needless to say that we live in uncertain times. And even in this past week, right, we saw some of the challenges from a geopolitical perspective. But when you talk to customers, first they tell you, look, security is top of mind. You know, clearly they want to be secure and protected for any of the potential threats that may emerge. Second is that many of them still need to modernize and cloudify their enterprise. And many of them still behind in even digitizing their enterprise. So that's a significant opportunity. But that sucks a lot of the cost that, you know, it takes to run IT. And so they are, you know, they are looking for help how to run IT in a more effective way with an eye on sustainability and capital, freeing up capital, so they don't get left behind in this journey to AI. Because they realize they need to embrace this technology like any other technology never seen before. And so this is where HP is uniquely positioned to help them on that journey. And then look, I think, you know, supply chain disruption is also top of mind for them, because any moment, you know, a conflict can create a chaos. And we lived that chaos before through the global pandemic. So I think, you know, part of the work we're doing as a company is making sure we have a supply chain that's resilient and diverse, and so that we can support the customers whatever, you know, event happens. Because as CEO, I've seen everything from global pandemic to natural disasters to geopolitical conflicts, and you need to be ready in that moment in time.
Yeah, absolutely. 2025 marks a pretty significant moment in time for HPE. We have our rebrand with our new HPE logo out there, seeing it everywhere. It looks wonderful here on the show floor. Share some of your perspective on where you see that carrying us going forward.
Well, as I said from the beginning, right at the top of the conversation, is a bold expression of who we are as a company and how far we have come. Ultimately, we felt this was a perfect time to refresh that identity without losing the fact that we have values that we want to continue to expose. Look, this company was built with a clear purpose, which is to advance the way people live and work. We practice certain values on partner, innovate, and act. The future belongs to the fast. Courage favors the bold, right? And so, and to me, culture is everything. And so one of the things I'm really proud about ourselves is that we have a unique culture, and that culture is reflected now in the new brand, and that element now is fully integrated into the logo because it's part of the E, which is where we emphasize, right?
Yeah. My last question for you, Antonio, and this is a fun one. What can we expect from our new partnership with Inter Miami? Anything you can share about where we go forward here with that team?
Well, look, I'm very excited with the announcement of what we call the founder partner for the new Freedom Park, which includes the stadium, right? So I think
looks beautiful, by the way.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But we saw in the keynote.
You can't lose sight of the fact that it's not just the stadium and the team; it's the entire park. It's 131 acres. That the stadium will take a portion of it. I think it's 20 acres, and the other 110 acres around it is going to be for commercial use: hotels, restaurants, entertainment, museums, and the like. And all of that will be powered by the HPE Aruba networking fabric, plus GreenLake, the cloud, plus AI.
Amazing.
And we want to extend that all the way to the training camp so we can provide better data and insights about the players' performance as well. But the reality, HPE has been driving this across many sports, not just soccer, Inter Miami, soccer with FC Barcelona. We are about to start the opening of that stadium here soon in August. And then, Formula One and basketball and American football. Look, we have done more than 120 stadiums. But clearly, Inter Miami will be the leading edge because they're going to deploy the latest technologies, including AI.
Absolutely. Well, Antonio, thank you so much for joining me here today. Really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you.
As a reminder, check out Antonio's keynote replay from HPE Discover 2025 at hpe.com/discover. And now we're joined by Phil Mottram and Fidelma Russo. Welcome, Phil, and welcome, Fidelma. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
So I want to start with the first question for both of you. How many times have you attended HPE Discover Las Vegas, and what makes this year so unique? Maybe we'll start with you, Fidelma.
So this is my fourth Discover Las Vegas, and unique. I think the new brand is, just makes everything look fresh and clean, and then I also think all of the innovations that we've had across the company that are really coming together in a kind of cohesive portfolio this year, I think has made this one stand out.
Yeah, absolutely. And all the customer and partner conversations I've had, the consistent theme is around innovation. Phil, curious from your perspective.
I've been here maybe 5 times, I think.
All right.
And yeah, I think Fidelma nailed it really. The new brand looks amazing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And especially not only inside the sphere, but outside the sphere, it just looks incredible. So I think a lot of people have been talking about that. And we were also very deliberate around making lots of announcements in the run-up to Discover and then here at Discover. So yeah, it feels like it's been, and I know I'm not just saying this, I think it's the best one I've been to.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we just heard from Antonio about some of the announcements in his keynote. And I'm curious just to hear from your perspective what you're showing off as far as your new products here at Discover 2025.
Yeah, sure. So on the networking side, we made a few announcements in the run-up to Discover, mainly talking about a platform that we have, which is called Aruba Central, which is part of the HPE GreenLake family. And we talked in the announcements on the run-up to Discover about how that platform, which started life as a cloud-only platform, is now available for customers either in an on-premise version or a virtual private cloud version as well. Because we'd heard loud and clear from customers that they were a bit concerned about where their data was sitting, data sovereignty, those sorts of issues. So he made some announcements, say, about the platform Aruba Central and those 3 deployment options. And then here at the event, we've really been leaning in and talking about the AI capabilities within the platform and something specifically called AI Mesh, which is all about agentic AI, because we now have a platform that's kind of spotting problems and fixing the problems for customers before they notice them. So yeah, some big announcements around that.
Some incredible innovation again, building on that theme of innovation here at Discover. So Fidelma, on your side in hybrid cloud, I know you've been on a roll with a lot of announcements this week. I can't even keep up with them. There's so many, so congratulations on that. And just yesterday, I know we announced even more on HPE's GreenLake platform, which Phil touched on a little bit, and some other product offerings like AI factory solutions. Can you share a little bit more about those in particular?
Yeah, so I mean, it's been a very busy year, and it's only when you get to Discover and you see the culmination of it that you can kind of really step back and appreciate how much work our engineers and product managers and innovators have been doing across the company. And one of the important things, I think, is how coordinated we are this year. And so, GreenLake platform, we announced GreenLake Intelligence yesterday. And again, the same similar theme as Aruba Central, adding agentic capabilities to the platform, and really to allow you to take cross-domain information and correlate it and deliver outcomes to customers. So the example I like to give is, an application slows down, and every team has to get involved to decide if it's the network, and usually people think it's the network first, and then storage or compute, or the application itself. And now with the agentic capability, bringing together OpsRamp, the compute ops manager, storage manager, and Aruba Central, you now have a built-in kind of genius to say, hey, it's actually storage, and so that's where you should look, and here are our recommendations, and here's kind of the human in the loop capability in order for you to kind of take action or not. So that's a big theme, I think, and will really bring the next generation of AI ops to bear.
Yeah.
And then if we kind of take a detour from that, which is different to putting AI in our platforms, which is how we're looking at our AI factory portfolio. We are very unique in the industry. We have an AI platform portfolio that starts with a turnkey private cloud AI. So for those people who want ready to run, pre-sized, all of the software already installed, a lot of lifecycle management in there, all the way up to the AI factory for model builders, and more importantly, AI factories now for sovereign entities. Because as Phil said, lots of people are really concerned about where their data is, who has access to the data, even what nationalities have access to the data. Yeah. And then I think the big differentiation we have is you still have to operate day two these AI factories, and we now have consistency using Morpheus as the control plane and using OpsRamp as observability for AI factories, everything from our turnkey AI factory with PCAI up to the big, huge custom AI factories that we have. So I think we're very unique in the industry there.
Yeah, absolutely. Some key differentiators for us there. So both looking ahead for each of your respective areas, and maybe Phil, we'll start with you. Yeah. What do you anticipate will be top of mind for our customers? And what are you most optimistic about going forward?
Yeah, I think it's all about the platform, HPE GreenLake and Aruba Central within that. As we've added these capabilities, particularly the agentic AI capabilities, I think it's going to be a really interesting journey for customers as they start to adopt them. Because I think with all things technology related, customers need to go on a bit of a journey, don't they, to trust the technology. And so, the way we've kind of designed it is, so customers have the ability to say, well, actually, I don't want the platform to fix it without me pushing a button, right? So I think there's a bit of a journey and a bit of a process here. So I think customers will start with, okay, you can make the recommendation, but I want to push the button before the platform does the work. But obviously, as they get used to the platform, they can recognize the decisions the platform's taking and why, they're then more likely to step back and say, actually, you know what, I'm going to just trust the platform to do the right thing. And I think that's going to be really interesting and meaningful for customers as well.
Absolutely. And Fidelma, I guess for you as well, what do you anticipate just kind of going forward as you're having customer conversations? What are you most optimistic about?
I think we bring a lot of value to customers with the whole portfolio we have. And one of the big conversations we've had with nearly every customer this week is as they're looking at bringing generative AI into their environment and looking at transforming their environment, they're looking at more of a hybrid model, really a hybrid model where, the data doesn't move or they have more control over it. And then the second piece is what do they do with their virtualization estate? How much do they move to containers? How much do they retire? And how much do they move to an alternate hypervisor like VM Essentials? And then, kind of Morpheus as that common control plane across both on-prem and in the cloud. So tons and tons of conversation with customers about how to start that journey and the kind of roadmap they're on, and which workloads first, and kind of that journey that Phil was talking about. Yeah. We're very excited about where we can help customers with this particular journey.
Okay. Well, it's a lot of incredible innovation from both of you and your teams this week. It's great to see all of the announcements here at HPE Discover 2025. Thank you both for joining me here today. Now we're joined by Matt Eastwood, Senior Vice President of IDC. Matt, welcome.
Thank you, Justin. It's really great to be here.
Excited to have you here. So Matt, talk to us a little bit about the pace of change that you're seeing that's accelerating AI across the enterprise.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, what we've been seeing the last 3 years is just really unprecedented. I would say take a step back and say, if we go back and we think about the last decade, even 15 years, there's been a lot of focus on transformation. A lot of that focus was on digital transformation and thinking about how we can use data more effectively to differentiate ourselves. And this is just an accelerant. This is just really adding fuel to the fire, in particular with the C-suite. The C-suite's very excited about what AI represents in terms of business prospect.
Yeah, okay. So you mentioned AI. Why do AI workloads necessitate a hybrid cloud strategy?
Well, so if we think about data, most data actually lives on-prem, and most data actually doesn't necessarily even live in a data center. So what we tend to see is the need for the AI to chase the data and the infrastructure to be there to support it. So it creates this very much of this stretched need for infrastructure. It's this cloud to core to edge, kind of elongated stretch of infrastructure needs. So it creates a lot of opportunities, of course, some challenges as well for what that infrastructure needs to look like.
Okay. And what are you most excited about when it comes to HPE and our partners and delivering on this strategy?
Well, as an infrastructure person, it's super exciting to see so much need and attention being paid to infrastructure for all workloads. Yeah. But I would say what we're talking about is differentiated value and the need for an infrastructure that can help organizations deliver on that. And from a partner perspective, obviously you've got technology partners that are helping you build out and fulfill on the technologies you're bringing to market, but it also represents a really interesting opportunity for your reseller partners as well, whether they're building these infrastructures for an end user, or whether they're even hosting some of these infrastructures for end users and building managed services on top of your platforms. Super exciting time.
Okay. Well, thanks, Matt, for joining us. Really appreciate the insights. If you enjoyed this segment, be sure to like, subscribe, and check out more content from Discover. We'll see you next time.